And welcome back to another video, everybody. And today we're going to talk about the special edition cars. Are they really special? Are they worth a whole bunch more money? And will they be worth a whole bunch more money for all of us out there, me included, who bought a special edition car or are aspiring to buy a special edition car? Are we going to make our money back? Are we going to lose our rears? Are we going to come out of this thing at least breaking even? What is the history of special edition cars when it comes to resale? Are these cars really going to perform better than a standard non-special edition similar spec car? Well, let's get into that and talk about it and figure that out today. And I think you'll all be very surprised, at least my opinion on this subject. All right, so now let's first talk about what a special edition car is, because there are a lot of folks out there who are new to Dodge this last year and got pulled in with all the marketing, advertising, and all the hype, and thought maybe I'll buy a Dodge Challenger this final year. And I met a guy this weekend who bought his first Hellcat. It's a 2023 Hellcat with a 6-speed manual, wide body. He ordered it. He can't wait to get it. He's been a BMW guy in the past. If you're watching, thank you for watching. And he found my channel because he's out there shopping. And there were a lot of things, because he's new to the Dodge product, to these Chargers and Challengers and these Hemi cars, that he didn't know about. Even with my Swinger, he didn't realize that that was supposed to be a very special car. And I believe that it is to an extent. So let me just share with you all what the special edition cars are. If you don't already know, we've got the Shakedown, which, you know, I definitely beat up on all these cars when they came out, and I don't change my position. I believe all of them except maybe the Super B are simply sticker cars and a little bit of cosmetics that they did some stitching and some nice little accents and very tastefully done for the most part. So I don't think they destroyed the cars, but I think that they were less than what we had all hoped, and I was consistently very clear about that. Here is the Super B. Now this one is more like the first time they've ever done a 1320 in a Charger, which I believe is really cool. And this is the one I would have loved to have had, but that one I could not find anywhere, and it'll kill me if one shows up at the dealership I bought my Swinger at, because I might have to go and dig myself into significantly deeper debt to put that in the garage. I'm just kidding, in case my wife is listening to me right now in the other room. But that's the one that I probably would have loved to have. Now, I was consistent with the Swinger in Sublime Green was what I wanted, because that green is amazing. But to have this this beast in a Scat pack with the drag radials and you know, just basically the 1320 would be really, really cool. And I think that one has a better chance than most at maybe holding its value or having some future value. But we'll talk about that in a second. So now let's jump over to, there's the Swinger. Now the Swinger it's coming in this F8 green, which is gorgeous. It's coming in a Charger version. It's also coming in white knuckle. It's also coming in Sublime with a 6-speed manual, and that is the one I bought. Then you've got, there's the Charger. Let's keep going here. Then you've got the King Daytona, which is a jailbreak wide body red eye, 807 horsepower, that has some stickers on it, and it's the lighter wheels and some stitching. So this car, you'll find it all over the internet going for $150,000, $200,000, which is astonishing that anyone would be stupid enough to pay that kind of money for these cars. And I think when I'm done with this video, you will agree with me that there are going to be a lot of people getting really, really hosed and burned for paying that kind of money for what they could have otherwise probably got for close to $100,000, maybe even less, had they just been patient and stuck their own stickers on the back and took it to an upholstery shop and some new wheels. But nonetheless, it is a beautiful car and just not worth 200 grand. All right, now here's the seats. Then you've got the same story with the Black Ghost with you know, a sticker on the back and some light wheels and a little bit different badging. And those are rolling $150,000, $200,000. I believe there are people running around out there right now who paid $200,000 plus for that car. And it is a red eye jailbreak and, you know, 807 horsepower, and it's not worth $200,000. Nothing you can tell me would convince me that This car is going to be worth $200,000 because it has some stickers on the roof and stickers on the back and some stitching. It just doesn't make sense. I saw this in person. I did a video on it. You're welcome to go watch that video. But that is a stretch to think they're going to pay 200 grand and see that kind of money, despite the limited production levels of this thing. And the biggest pitch that the dealers have used on this one, and you can watch these videos online from actual dealerships and salespeople saying, well, they're building less of these than the Demon 170. Therefore, that means this is going to be worth more than a Demon 170, and it's going to be more sought after than a Demon 170. See, they're really good at saying these things, but not having to own up to them later on when this person is $50,000 or $100,000 underwater on that car, and that cash has evaporated off the planet. Just like when I was looking at that Ford Bronco at the Ford dealership down the street from my house, and the kid told me, well, if you buy it in the middle of COVID, and he told me, well, if you buy this thing for $50,000 over, it's going to be like a house. It's going to appreciate in value. Today, you can get those things all day long for $10,000, $15,000 under the original MSRP used with almost no miles on them. The kid just said it. Didn't care whether it was true or not, just said it, and they were all saying it, and I got to imagine they were scripting it, and they were hosing people. Same thing's being said about this thing. Beautiful car, amazing car, love to have one, not for $200,000. There's the roof sticker. That is vinyl. That is not anything that's going to withstand the test of time out in the elements. I imagine at some point you'll need to have it redone. At some point it'll start to peel. At some point there will be issues with it, and you will have paid $200,000 for it and probably not be able to match that exact pattern, and you will be angry. So that car will have to be locked in the garage and kept safe from forever from the elements. Then, of course, we've got the Demon 170, which, as you all know, I have an order in on. I have no update other than it's going to come. I should get a VIN number soon, and everything should be on track. But I'm fine with them taking their sweet ass time so that I can figure out how the hell to pay for that car, because that is an extra $100,000 on top of the $70,000 I just paid, tax and license, everything on that Swinger, and I got a Land Rover I got to buy for my wife in April. So take your time, Dodge. Christmas time would be like a good time to deliver this thing to me. So no big rush. So that's the special editions. I don't think I missed any of them. I think you could see some of them here. So that's the story with these. That's a special edition if you're wondering. But now let's go back and look at what about special editions over time? Over time, every manufacturer has always had special editions, whether they're ending a certain model or whether it was just an anniversary car, but there were special editions. And here we've got a bunch of interesting special editions over time. That was the Harley Quinn Golf at the beginning. You've got the Kona Iron Man Edition Hyundai. I can't see that being worth a lot of money someday. Now, I get it. The Challengers are much more special, but you know what's really special? They stopped and will never make the BMW i8 ever again. And I don't know how much the Memphis Style is worth, but I wouldn't drive it if I was literally had a choice to walk through the desert barefooted in the middle of summertime in 115-degree heat, naked. I would rather walk than drive this thing, but maybe that'll hold its value because the i8s have been completely discontinued and they were very special carbon fiber type machines. Then you've got the Infiniti FX Vettel, whatever the hell that is. Anyways, then you've got Hiking Edition. You've got all these special editions. The Walking Dead Edition Hyundai Tucson. Can't imagine that's going to come back on the market one day, worth a ton of money. The Ford Ka Lufthansa Edition, I looked this up, and apparently if you're at the right place, the right time, they will pay you to take one of these things. They're so incredibly cheap right now that this special edition didn't go anywhere. Now, I know it's a bad comparison to a beautiful Dodge Challenger Charger. Then you've got the Jeep Wrangler, and the Jeep people are obsessed with their cars, and the Black Ops Edition. Don't know where that is, but there's a special edition for you. Ferrari. Now, Ferrari has a good record of holding its value as long as they keep the miles down and keep them very nice. But we're not talking Ferraris here, everybody. And you've got this thing. Then you've got the Jack Nicklaus Town Car. Now, it would make sense. They put all this extra time, basically 100% cosmetics put on this Lincoln Town Car. One of my favorite cars from back in the 90s, this monster land yacht. This thing was great. But this Jack Nicklaus edition, I went ahead and did some searching just for fun to see, okay, how much are these things right now? I'm sure people paid massive markups to get their hands on them. and enthusiasts sold for $9,200. So, and that's a pristine condition car right there. So, I think that one didn't exactly pan out for collectors, even if they're sitting in the garage. And then you got a 570 McLaren. You got a Gremlin Levi's edition. Who knows where that led to? I remember when the Nissan Rogue came out, the one Star Wars edition, and I saw a couple of them out there, and they just kind of faded off, and I don't think anybody really cares anymore. So that's just some of the special editions. And then you got the Volkswagen Golf Harlequin. Now, this thing definitely went up, but it basically leveled out. So if these things were, $12,000, $13,000 back in the 90s, today they're $25,000, $26,000 with inflation. It's basically the same price. So they basically held their value over time. No one lost anything on this car, but I wouldn't be caught dead driving that either. I would literally choose to dive into the ocean with sharks, great whites, than to be forced to drive this thing down the road. Yet enthusiasts are lined up for it, which I'll talk about more in a second. And of course, a Bugatti would have some legs to it, but we all remember the Harley Davidson trucks, remember? And I think there might still be out there. But these were the biggest joke ever when it came to holding their value, because you can literally find these things for next to nothing. $12,000, $20,000, $9,000, $19,000. These things are not very special either, and for that reason, I think people got caught up in the specialness of the Harley Davidson. 007 BMW Z3, again, I wouldn't want to be... I would literally rather ride on the hood of a Ford Fiesta naked while people threw rocks at me than get behind the wheel of this thing and be caught driving down the road. No, absolutely no thank you. And this one I have personal experience with, a Fiat 500 Gucci edition. I had a Fiat 500 Versace edition. Now, when people bought these cars, they paid extra to get the Gucci, the Versace. I don't know if they have Louis Vuittons, but they had all these fancy little badged up and stickered up cars. And when I sold mine, I got $6,000 for it. So the Versace thing meant nothing. It wasn't anything about Versace other than putting the words on there. So again, stickers didn't matter. And by the way, I know it's not a Challenger or a Charger, but these things got discontinued in America and they were gone. And just because you got one of the last ones doesn't mean you're sitting on anything special. And certainly a Bentley and a Rolls Royce, another Jeep. So I think you get the point. That's all of these. Now let's talk about what happens with special edition cars in general. And I found this great article I'll share with you all, where they basically, in this page, before we go into some examples, make the point that the limited edition, or the fact that a dealer or a manufacturer calls something a special edition, does not necessarily translate into long-term value. That car isn't just going to be worth more than a standard car, and they gave some examples here. And while, yes, we love the Mopar product, I think we all need to agree that we're a little biased, and we need to filter that out. Here's a Mustang. 2001 Ford Mustang Bullitt. Very popular car. Today's retained value of about 37%. A standard GT Coupe, same exact percentage of value versus what it was new. Lost about $15,000, and the loss for the Bullitt was $16,955. Meaning if you bought a special edition Bullitt and you paid MSRP for it, just paid the extra little bump for the special edition, which they're doing with the Challengers and Chargers, that means that you got screwed out of about $2,900 more than somebody who bought a standard GT Coupe instead of the Bullitt. And the primary reason why, what you're going to see is a trend here, is the dealership, the manufacturer already marked up these cars for those stickers and for those the new stitching and the special color and maybe the special wheels. But when all is said and done and you want to sell it, you're going to sell it for 37% of what you paid for it, not too long later. And that is a problem if me and you have one of these sticker special edition cars and think that they're going to go up in value, because that doesn't necessarily translate. Next, the 2003 Corvette 50th anniversary edition. There were people paying over sticker on these cars to get their hands on them. The dealerships would put them on the showroom floor and put a big plaque out in front, and guys wearing New Balances and white socks and khaki shorts and polo shirts would come in and lose their ever-loving mind, empty out their retirement account, and go home and fight with their wife about the new Corvette that they got that's a special 50th anniversary. And what happens here is the same exact drop. 56% of retained value on the special edition versus the standard Corvette Coupe. But here's the deal. The standard car lost $19,000 and the special edition lost $21,000, and that's assuming nobody paid a markup. They paid MSRP, and they just paid the little bump for the special edition extra features, whatever those were, generally cosmetic. So you lose the same percentage of money, but you lose more cold hard cash than you would having not bought a special edition. And I know what you're thinking right now. Well, Brad, boy, did you screw up buying that Swinger. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Because I love you all you Mopar people, and you're gonna make sure that I get bailed out of this thing when the time comes, because you've all but lost your minds on these cars, believing that they're more valuable than your 401k and any stocks you've ever owned. So, and I'm being facetious here. Please don't do that. How about this 2005 Nissan 350Z 35th anniversary edition? Here's the deal. Today's retained value is 65% on the anniversary edition versus 71%. So this car, the anniversary edition, special edition, lost more value and significantly more cash, $13,000 versus $7,800 versus the standard car. So whoever bought that and got caught up in the hype and paid all that extra money got creamed, because no one in the marketplace believes that that car is worth as much as a standard 350Z. The fact that you've got the 50th anniversary, or I'm sorry, the 35th anniversary edition is nice, but absent anything else, you're not getting any more money for it. If you do get the same price as they got, which is probably what's likely, if you see two of these for sale right now, even if you got an extra $1,000 for yours, you paid so much more than they did for theirs that you're still losing more money, because basically you overpaid for some stickers and some cosmetic stuff and maybe a few other features that were thrown in this thing to get you to get excited about it. How about this? The Mazda RX-8 Shinka edition, the special edition was holding 60% of its value, the standard 63% of its value. But you notice a trend here, loss of almost $13,000 versus $9,600, because people overpaid for these things. They paid the big manufacturer bump up for the stuff, and then if they paid a markup, that's not even at the dealership, that's not even calculated into this equation. So just imagine if somebody paid a markup for any of these cars or any of these special editions. Well, I stand to lose more money based on these examples than somebody who didn't buy the special edition. I believe I'm still better off than had I paid a markup. Had I paid a markup, I'd be screwed. So those of you out there that paid markups, ouch. How about this? Scion, certainly not a good comparison to our cars, but nonetheless, you've got 82% of retained value, 88%. I think you're all getting the point, and that's the last one here, that all these special editions, and some of them are special cars, some of them are not so much, but overall, stickers and rarity, this one was only 2,500 made. You go through all these other cars, there were only a certain amount made. They didn't hold their value. They didn't stand up strong against the standard version for that year, which is extremely concerning if you paid a markup. Again, then I found this great article, which I will go down here. Do car collectors really pay for more rare cars? So obviously, the exotics and the very rare specialty cars would certainly hold more value when you start getting up to looking at Bugattis and Aston Martins. But when you start getting down to this one right here, our Mopars or Firebirds, Corvettes, Camaros, Porsches, Mustangs, Ferraris, what we find here is the lower the number, this is minus 38, the lower the number, and I'll just read this to you, the lower negative number means more of a connection between rarity and price. So Shelby enthusiasts value rarity more than Ferrari collectors, surprisingly, despite the precision with which you can count the Hemi Cudas. Mopar fans seem to value rarity the least. Similarly, the build records for Firebirds but not Camaros or Corvettes doesn't translate into a greater value placed on rarity. So here's the deal. Shelby owners place a greater value on rarity. Mopar owners, we can point to, it's like we don't even care how rare it is. We either want the car or we don't, and we either can afford it or we can't. The bottom line is rarity only seems to translate when the car is brand spanking new and a dealership or a salesman convinced us that we need to buy that car at any price. So that is where we get screwed. But once the car comes back on the market in resale, we don't seem to care how rare that car is. We just want that car. Even the Demons have come down. The 2018 Demons have come down, but those, I believe, would be an exception to almost every single rule when it comes to Mopar. So this is a very, very telling story here that we should be concerned about. And then Motor Biscuit, great site you all should go check out, but they have an article here. This is Dodge's last call challengers will never be as collectible as the classics, which they explain why. And I will just jump down to their spiel on the Demon, but their main reason overall, and the gist of this thing, was the cars that were back in the 70s that we all look back at as examples that blew up in value when we see a Hemi Cuda or a Roadrunner out there, and we're like, wow, that's just, I want to relive that. If I can get a special edition car or a Black Ghost, maybe that thing's gonna be worth $1 million one day, and I'll be able to retire on that car. I'll be in great shape, and we go park it in the garage and sit on it. The problem is the cars that didn't get a lot of them built back in the 70s that became very hard to find because they were driven, the people who bought them. Basically what this article says is those cars were found in barns. They were brought back to life and restored by collectors. Very few of these were sitting in pristine in a capsule in a garage where it's hermetically sealed and kept away from the elements for the last 30, 40, 50 years, and then suddenly it was unveiled to the public as one of these greatest opportunities to buy a like-new car from 1970. That practically never happens, never happens. What happens is they find one, they bring it back to life, and it's so rare that it's worth a fortune. And it doesn't really matter that it wasn't super high performance. It was so incredibly rare, and that made it so special, and no one else was collecting them. Well, what they're saying now, when we get down to let's find this right here, about the Demon, the 2023 Dodge Demon will not be the rarest Challenger, but they do say that it will be collectible. But the problem is that, like some of you who are buying some of the special edition sticker cars, you are thinking that you can't drive them. So you're literally, I've had a few people tell me they bought one and they backed it in their garage and they're putting it on blocks and they're going to keep this thing perfect because it is an investment. It is an investment for their kids. I watched a video recently where a guy bought one for his child that is still a toddler that he's going to give it to him one day. Now, that's cool, but I don't know about you all, but having a car sit there for 20 years or 18 years, it seems like a gargantuan waste to me because you can't predict the future and so many things can happen between now and then. But nonetheless, these people are doing this thinking they bought something so incredibly special. Let me tell you what happens to vinyl over time. Okay, it becomes, even if you do everything you can to take care of it, it's going to crack, it's going to peel, it's going to become damaged no matter how you cut it. And that's kind of what these cars are. They're a bunch of vinyl on the outsides, and you're going to have them redone anyways. So what Motor Biscuit says here, and it's an excellent point, is we've gotten to the place now that everybody's buying these cars to stick them in their garages as speculators. There's so many 2018 Demons with no miles on them. Just go look on Car Gurus and eBay. There's thousands of them out there. I mean, with very, very low to no miles, because all of these speculators sat on them hoping they'd get their money. Yet most of these speculators paid $150,000, $200,000 for those Demons, and today they're worth $150,000, $135,000, $145,000. So they bought these cars, and even though they went up from MSRP of $85,000 or $87,000, if you paid $150,000 for that car and now you're selling it for $150,000, you get the biggest idiot award because you bought the car, sat in your garage, and then kept it for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, and you let the thing sit there and gather dust and do nothing when someone should have been out driving that car. So that's the sad thing. Now the Demon 170s, they're saying so many people are buying them to collect them. So few of them will ever find their way to the track. So few will ever find their way to breaking 1,000 miles because everybody's going to sit on them and speculate and hope that they can get their $500,000 out of these cars. But with the markups that people paid, they're screwed. Now, if you paid MSRP, let's say $100,000, $105,000, $110,000, you're probably going to be okay. But you still have tax and license. If you live in a place like I live in, you're going to pay tax and license. You're going to still pay $115,000 for that car. So maybe you get $150,000 out of it by the time you sell it, and then you make $25,000, $35,000. I can think of a whole lot of other things that you can sit on for 5 to 10 years, let's say 10 years, to make $25,000, $35,000. Seems like that will, by the way, last or be in much better condition after 10 years of sitting around. So you'll need new tires. You'll need new rubber in that car probably. I mean, it's just not going to be the same as it was when you first bought it, and we're finding that with a lot of the Demons out there. So that's a problem that we all have to face. But then let's go ahead and just jump into why in the hell did I buy, let's get back to the camera, why did I buy a special edition then? Well, I bought it fully knowing that I'm going to use it for my channel. I'm going to daily drive the crap out of it. I've got 1,500 glorious miles on it. I bought it because it's a 6-speed manual. It's sublime green, and it's got a shaker hood, and I love those new wheels because they're different. I like black wheels generally, but because they're different, it's something different, and it's the last year, and I got an opportunity to buy it. As you know, if you watch my videos, I wasn't planning on buying that car. When it came up and the dude said he would do it for sticker, I was like, let's roll, buddy, and I bought that car. I still believe I'm going to have to probably take a loss on that car if I end up selling that car in the next year because this market's going down, despite it being a special edition and despite me not paying a markup. So just imagine if you paid a markup, how screwed you're going to be. But Brad, you said in the other video that you might be able to break even if you compare that car to like let's say a sublime green Scat pack with a regular hood and a manual and black wheels and stuff, park them next to each other, like you just got through saying that they'll probably sell for the same amount of money. Well, no, there's a little thing called stupidity out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will likely capitalize on your stupidity if you want to buy my car because it's so special for more than I paid for it or what I paid for it. I will let you. Does that make me as bad as the dealers? No, because I have one car to sell, and that's it. One car. I'm not holding out with other dealerships, holding out on prices. You want this car, you want to pay that. But I'm going to tell you right now, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't give me that money. Hold out and make me sell it to you for a good deal. You know why? I could afford to take the loss. I make money on YouTube. It's all good. But there's this thing going around that many of you, okay, not all of you, but many of you think that these cars are investments. They're going to go up in value. And the second you see one at or below MSRP, you lose your ever-loving mind. And in some cases, some of you, not all of you, think that this car is going to actually go up in value. So when I go to sell my Swinger, there may be somebody out there that's convinced themselves of this. I will be telling them as I'm handing the keys, I don't believe this car is going to go up in value unless you sit on it for 50 years and keep it in pristine condition. And everybody else who gets one totals theirs. So I don't believe that that's going to happen. But hey, if you want it, more power to you. I could literally go out and peel the Swinger stickers off the back and it wouldn't matter to me because I wanted a Sublime, I wanted a shaker, and I wanted a 6-speed manual, and I like that Alcantara interior, and I just love the overall look of the car. So I'm happy with it. The fact that I had to pay an extra $5,000 or so for all the special edition stuff, I'm probably going to lose my money. I'm probably not going to make it back when I sell it. If I do, that's a bonus to me. But I got the car that I wanted, the color that I wanted, and since so many people out there paying way over on these things, maybe I got a chance of getting out of it. But I don't think it's justified. And I'll tell you, I'm saying that about my own car. So how much more honest can I possibly be, folks? So with that, please like, subscribe, comment, don't pay any markups, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.